There's actually a lot of people that don't want to have children. They don't have a lot of hope about the future. People think they cannot afford it. It's very logical and rational to think that the future won't be better than today. You can just go from idea to thing in literally, like this whole website was maybe 20 minutes and 5 prompts.
One person can now be 12 people.
If you experience kind of like a downtrend during your lifetime, the main question for anyone should be, what is the new path towards the future? And am I going to be an actor in that, or am I going to be a subject?
C3, okay, a millionaire. I'm a young money millionaire.
Welcome back to the Daily Stack. This morning we have Bram Kanstein joining us, Bitcoin for Millennials podcast, which you guys know and love. You guys are on 190 episodes, 200 episodes. What are you at right now, Bram?
Like 230.
Okay, in the ballpark. Respect the grind. It is not easy. We have Avi Mash, co-host, regularly coming on. We're actually going to move Wednesdays markets are going to be on Tuesdays now. Tuesdays, which we normally had, I'm going to be on Wednesdays with Holston Valencia. So tomorrow she's going to be joining us again, regular host, and we're excited. Bram, across the pond in the Netherlands, how are you feeling? 68, 69. This is not the price action we want, but we have plenty to talk about today on the AI front. So welcome.
Yeah. Well, I think it's funny you asked, like how many episodes I have. And last week I talked to someone and he said, did you realize, you've been making a podcast for 2.5 years, basically in somewhat of a bear market, especially inflation adjusted, right? So I said, well, that is true. And it's interesting that, we all have this idea of the trajectory of Bitcoin, but, the market is the market. So, this is just what it is, but I think a good moment for just contemplation and just, messing around with a lot of other stuff. Eventually, I think we have a good sense of where Bitcoin is going. So, I'm chilling. I'm just messing around on the internet. That's kind of what I made my job to be for myself.
We're right there with you. I think we're close to like 250 or so as well. We should probably know that exact number, but would love to hear it. Like culturally, what's it like over in the Netherlands? Is the Bitcoin, does it feel the same as when you're down in Miami or New York, or what's the vibe like over in the Netherlands?
Well, I think there's the Netherlands has always been very progressive with like internet adoption and stuff like that. I think we have one of the highest internet adoption rates in the world. I mean, I got internet at home when I was 12, probably like 1999 or something, quite early. And there's a lot of people that from the Netherlands, I think, that contributed to the internet in general. Like there was a huge hacker culture also back in the day. I think there still is to a degree, but as with a lot of countries, we're kind of seeing this bifurcation in people that are kind of asleep and just following what the TV says, and the other half of the people, I think, is waking up to a lot of different things. I think the debasement of money is one of those things, but still, there's high trust in government here. So I think adoption is honestly too slow, but how can you blame people, right? Like if the money just works, if you can just swipe your card or, it's always worked here. And I think that's also kind of like the privilege you have when you grow up in a Western country. It's really hard to see that, the money is constructed in a way that is not beneficiary to your individual prosperity. But yeah, if it still works, why would you even question that? So I think it's not really alive here, to be honest. I think it was way more alive before, but also like you said, this is kind of a long grind. It's a long journey, I think, to try to change the technology for money. And it has ups and downs, and I think we're in a downtrend now, but it's fine. I think we have, like I said, a clear picture of the future, and I think we're all putting our energy towards that.
When you say downtrend, that was going to be one of our questions, and we always thought it's just like,
yeah, I'm not a price guy, so I have no clue. No clue. I actually
your exact prediction, Bram.
Yeah, the prediction is no clue. Actually, last week I saw a really great article by OnRamp where they kind of modeled like all the drawdowns, and I realized I've experienced 70+% drawdowns. So I don't want to say my heart is ice cold, because I still don't like the red chart. But I feel this is just part of it. Like I said, it is Bitcoin is really that proof of work ethos. Like it asks you for that, right? It asks you for a long-term outlook and a certain commitment. And like I said, putting your energy towards something. And so, nothing goes up in a straight line. I think everyone's mind nowadays is focused on quick wins, getting rich quick, all that ephemeral short-term stuff. And I think Bitcoin, actually asks from you that you put in a long, like a low time preference attitude, and I think that is all just part of the hodling journey.
So you just brought up a good point. We often talk about this like financial nihilism, right? You think you're in this trap, and we see it firsthand here in America. I'm sure it's very similar over in Europe and in the Netherlands, but you see from a sports betting analogy, everyone's doing the 12-leg parlays. It's almost like you.
Well, I just ordered food and I paid. No afterpay for the food here.
You didn't do Klarna on that?
No.
Well, it's a real thing when you look at people that are graduating college now. You amplify that with AI, which we'll be talking about quite a bit here today. And you feel like on one hand, there's never been a better time to be alive, right? If you actually sit down, use these tools that are in front of you, now the salespeople, we talk about this, me and Jody were sales guys our whole lives. And now it's like the nerds fighting back. It's like our sales guys' time to fight back, where we can actually go build stuff, or at least like an MVP of a lot of these products. But going back to the financial nihilism, is that pretty much felt over in the Netherlands? Did the youth feel like, hey, I no longer go to college, get that 4-year degree, go out, have one, the wife's at home, maybe the traditional like lives that we thought we'd be going into. Curious what that's like over in the Netherlands.
Well, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, my podcast is focused on millennials, right? It's Bitcoin for millennials, and I think one of the main things that really drove me to also focus on millennials is that there's actually a lot of people that don't want to have children. I'm blessed with children, but there's a lot of people that don't want to have children because they're very they don't have a lot of hope about the future. People think they cannot afford it and all these things. And the fact that I read that once, I thought it was already messed up. Like, oh, really? Is that what people are doing? And then at one point I spoke to a guy of a company that I worked with, and he was like the CTO, very smart guy, someone I thought was just very capable in what he was doing. And at one point we had a conversation about this, right? He knew I was into Bitcoin, that this was a moment where Bitcoin was going up, and we were talking about it, and he seemed to really understand it. But he said, in the end, it's all fucked up anyway, and this and that, and it's all going to shit and blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, don't you have children? And he's like, no, I don't have children. And then I said, well, do you mind me asking, like, okay, why don't you have children? Is this the reason? And then he explained to me, like, yeah, like I'm not hopeful for the future, and I'm just focusing on, me and my girlfriend and my parents, and that is just it. And I remember just having that conversation, and then this was really like the first time I spoke to someone who had that kind of like life attitude, basically. And that really woke me up, because I think it's quite bad when a human construct, which is money, this money system that is basically stealing our time and energy, is also making people go against their biological urge to reproduce, which is just a wild thing to actually hear from someone's mouth, right? Like, you can read about it, but then when I actually heard someone lay that out for me, I just thought that was quite a shocker. And I think there's a lot of people in my generation that have that attitude. And I think on the other side, like just the younger people, I mean, we don't have buy now, pay later on burritos, but there's a lot of gambling, a lot of crypto trash, get rich quick, drop shipping, whatever. And it feels like no one, I think across all generations actually, is really focused on like a long-term outlook, which I don't know. I think it's just a pity. It's kind of as you get older, you realize that good things take time, right? But yeah, if you cannot create the space and time to try something big, yeah, why would you even attempt it, right? And so I think the decisions are very logical, but it's quite sad to actually see that that's the case.
Yeah, I just pulled up this very damning chart here. It's pretty scary, right? And you see this with the amplification now with AI, where one person can now be 12 people, and you see, like you were saying, a lot of people don't want to have children. Me and Jody are both very blessed to have children ourselves as well. But it is like one of these things where it's like people are not having kids. And Elon talks about this all the time, but like what ultimately happens then? If this is true, this is getting into scary territory where.
But what a major drawdown, right? What a major draw. I don't know what the other
looks like Bitcoin chart
was. What's the other dip? Probably 1971, the one before that.
Yeah, this is maybe COVID initially.
No. This is like 19. Yeah, it's probably like 1970, 80, something like that. But it's pretty wild if you compare it to the rest of the chart. And I think just in general, like if there is prosperity, you have hope that the future will look the same or even better, right? If you see a lot of progression during your life, you think that will continue. And if you don't, or you see us moving back, which I think we are, then it's very logical and rational to think that the future won't be better than today, which is absolutely horrible, right? Like the whole idea, and I think the whole premise of like adulthood and parenthood is all about creating a better place for everyone that comes after you, right? And not even in an idealistic way, but I mean, if you have children, that's what you want to see. So I think, like I said, if you experience kind of like a downtrend or a backward trend during your lifetime, and you're coming of age, and mid 20s to mid 30s, whatever, when people regularly have children or usually have children, then I don't think it's a weird decision that people decide not to. I think that's probably a different conversation, but then you have these different discussions around, is this good or bad? Well, I think to connect it back to Bitcoin, and also one of the reasons I'm doing the podcast and focusing on our generation is I don't think there will be any pension for us, right? Like I don't think there will be any social benefits for us, whether just by numbers wise, maybe not people, because now with all the stuff with AI and robots and stuff like that, a lot of people will probably be replaced, but it'll be very different than what has been told or sold to us before, right? And I think it took me quite some time to actually realize, okay, we can talk about Bitcoin being the solution, but I think actually understanding the problem is way more important, and especially with AI, and I think we're going to talk about it, but it's just accelerating. I think that thesis towards a way more uncertain future is accelerating. So I think the main question for anyone should be, okay, what is the new path towards the future? And am I going to be an actor in that, or am I going to be a subject like I've been in the fiat money system?
Yeah. Before we get into the AI side, I saw this tweet from you. Was it 2 days ago? What's a good prayer that resonates with you before going to bed at night? I don't know if this was for you or when you like pray with your children, but how much has in the whole like nihilism about the future at all, like rethink how you raise kids? Like, are you
huge. Yeah, huge.
I've seen in Europe, people go back to more of a conservative lifestyle, go back to, hey, we really should have a more of a community built around the church. It's not that we're not educated, but there's so much, many positive things about being tied to a community, doing weekly events, having kids raised around other adults that can be good mentors and guide them.
Yeah, I don't go to church. I wouldn't call myself a Christian. I just think I have my my own spirituality, but I think praying or talking to God or the universe or however you want to define that has become a bigger part. I also think because I think there's a more general awakening going on, just with everyone, or well, some people, but I think once you see that the world is, I listen to Alan Watts a lot, and he talks about Buddhist tradition, stuff like that. They say the world is the drama of God, right? And I think once you see that more, and like the question, what is money, I think opens up a can of worms if you go down that rabbit hole, right? And you realize, okay, there's other people no better than me, right? They are the same manifestation of what you could call the eternal consciousness or God or source creation or whatever. So these people are no better than me. They're also randomly dropped in this reality simulation that we are all in. And so what makes it so they are allowed to create, for lack of a better word, matrix, or the paradigm or the constructed reality that the majority of other people live in. And I think before you, or maybe while you're trying to do something about that, I think like we're doing with Bitcoin, I think it's also very important, at least for me, to realize that I'm not my body, I'm not my mind, I'm not my name and all these things, right? I'm something way bigger than that, and you guys are too. And I think that that realizing that first also makes you less afraid and gives you more courage on whatever journey you decide to be on. So I have experienced that has become a way bigger part of my life. That's that spiritual path, and I think Bitcoin had a really big part in that because it actually gave me time and space to think about all that stuff, instead of being like in the rat race on a wheel or whatever, just literally having no time to think about that or being distracted with whatever the fuck is on TV. So.
Yeah. I think if you're looking at just you need to make time to do nothing, have the negative space where you think about things and evaluate, and not enough people have that, because I think that there's so much that's inundating you with like these feeds, and you're the product you're getting advertised to. They want the scroll time. They want you going through the feed, seeing their targeted placement advertisements. But it's a rat race. And so you really have to pause and set aside time to, go on walks and think about, whatever it is, whether it's prayer, whether it's, planning your future, whether it's, solving difficult problems. I think that was a huge benefit, before really the age of technology. And speaking of which, I think for our audience, we definitely want to take the time to jump directly into, you had put out a great post we saw the other day, and it did super well. 100,000 people viewed it. I think people saw the rise of OpenClaw. It started as ClawdBot, then MoltBot, then OpenClaw. And for the audience, this is essentially taking, Claude Code, the latest, greatest model by Anthropic, and now it's Opus 4.6, and you're installing it onto a computer. It has persistent memory. It's able to remember every single ChatGPT type conversation you're having with it, but it also has a heartbeat. So the heartbeat is every 30 minutes, it's waking up and it's saying, hey, this is what, Bram asked yesterday, and this is the bigger project he's trying to achieve. What can I do to help him solve that project? And so it's the closest thing I think the average person is seeing towards AGI and this general intelligence. It is not full AGI yet. It's not sentient, but it's incredibly powerful because you're building a team, you're building an assistant that can really help you with everything in your life. It takes a lot of work, though. It is not easy. It takes a little bit of technical know-how. And there's where we have Bram. He's helping us out. He already spun up a website, startwithbitcoin.com. You showed, how to enable AI agents with Bitcoin, connecting a Lightning wallet. I have my own use cases and how we've used it, here at Daily Stack. And we're getting more into that. But first, I'll let you have the floor on first impressions on ClawdBot. what got you excited about like, let's give this new agent some Bitcoin?
Yeah. So I've always been tinkering with like digital products and stuff like that for the past, I don't know, 15 years or something, and just trying out a lot of different products and services, trying to build my own stuff. And I failed at a lot and sold a few along the way. But I think it's always really good to try to be at the forefront of whatever is happening. And I think I'm not necessarily like super at the forefront of Claudebot. There's a lot of crazy guys on X that are literally not sleeping. Well, with a baby at home, I'm not sleeping anyway, so I don't need more. But I do feel like this, you know, I have had some nights, you know, up until like 2 a.m. just tinkering with the stuff. Like felt like I was 15, 16 again. Just you know, like I said, effing around on the internet, just trying to figure out, okay, what is going on here, and what does it actually imply? And so I think what is really cool is that you can just go from idea to thing in literally, you know, like this whole website was maybe, I don't know, 20 minutes and 5 prompts or whatever. And the idea here is that I saw a guy I know post about something called LLM or LLMs.text, where you can basically take your website and kind of like optimize it on the code and documentation side, so LLMs could actually discover it, right? So people listening know that, you know, when you're talking to an agent or in a chat or whatever, sometimes it comes up with a suggestion for a product or a service, right? Like if you're thinking about, okay, where can I host my Claudebot? It's gonna, you know, give you 3 options. Like how do you get in those places, basically? And so that's kind of what I saw. And then, I don't know, I was following Marty Bent. He was messing around with Nostr and wallets and stuff like that. And I had Start with Bitcoin, the domain. I had something else on it before, but I thought, yeah, you know, if you want to get your agent started with Bitcoin, just point them to startwithbitcoin.com. And so I basically, you know, I have this app called Voice Inc., which I think is, I don't know, it was like $20 lifetime when I bought it. I think it's maybe like $99 now lifetime. Doesn't really matter because it's a no-brainer. And there's a lot of these things like voice whisper, whatever. You know, I just hit a button on my keyboard here, and I just yap. I just fucking yap, right? And then I have this setting that kind of it takes it through GPT 5.2 or whatever, so it makes my yapping structured as an instruction for my cloud code. And I just started yapping, you know, like I want to make this website where where anyone can point their agent to. There should be a GitHub connected to it, right? But even when an agent just reads the website, it should have like all the LLMs text and blah blah. Search all the stuff that is already free, open source, and usable for agents to you know, set up a Bitcoin wallet or set up a Lightning wallet or connect to Nostr, basically. And I think this whole idea of Nostr is very interesting in the sense that you know, for humans it's interesting, obviously, but for agents even more, in my opinion, right? You can actually give them a verifiable identity, and you could track them. I almost want to say like across the internet, but you could also build a reputation with your bot, right? So if you build some sort of bot that is super valuable for people, you could actually have an identity, a verifiable identity by anyone, and then you could connect, for example, reviews and whatnot attached to it. But what I think is interesting, and I wonder what you guys think, but eventually everything is going to be cloned. Like I think the road to abundance is basically, and I always use this example, it's kind of stupid, but you know, I can, you know, this is a $50 Stanley bottle. I got it on sale, but usually it's $50, right? Like a $50 Stanley bottle. Like if I, you know, do you think we have like metal 3D printers in 5 years? Probably. Yeah. You know, like something like a mini CNC machine at home or whatever. Like you can just take a picture of something, get a 3D model, ask Claude Code, like, dude, figure out how to, you know, instruct my mini CNC machine here on my desk, and you know, I have this thing. So that's with, you know, physical stuff, but with software stuff, I'm asking it all the time, reverse engineer this, copy that and add this, right? So any idea, that's why this website is also free. Like, I don't really see a monetization model here, which is also not necessary. Like I like to give back, but it's, maybe it gets some visitors, but at one point it doesn't get visitors because someone is going to turn this into a Claude skill and put it on the Claude marketplace, and then no one visits this website again, maybe even in 2 weeks, right? So
someone's doing that right now, actually watching.
Probably, and that's fine. But I think this is how it's going to go, right?
Yeah.
Like it's going to be very, very difficult to build like proprietary stuff. So I do think it's really going to come down to more like human connections and community and stuff like that. Because I just saw a video of the Nothing phone, like that company Nothing. They also have earbuds. Anyway, they now and someone said like, this is what Apple should have done. You can now just talk to the new Nothing phone and then say like, hey, I want you to create a custom app that figures out when I can every day when I can go have my workout, and my workout is at this location, blah blah blah. Like, make the app. So it basically has like a Claude code on the phone, and it's going to make like a contextual app for you based on, your entire phone settings and your schedule and stuff like that. So yeah, who needs apps, right? Like, you probably remember Flappy Bird. Like, I can make a Flappy Bird. Like make a. I know I'm going to sit somewhere. I'm just going to say like, make a fun game I can play for 10 minutes. Okay, it makes the game in 10 or 20 seconds. And then I'm just playing, and then I basically throw it away again, right? And then I get a new one. And so that's, I think, on the fun and entertaining part. But then on the more like serious abundance part, I did a very fun exercise with a friend of mine, and sometimes we have these evenings where we just go down the AI rabbit hole. We did a deep research on like, what is ancient, like esoteric knowledge that was public before but is hidden now, and how can we unearth that and apply that with AI today. And we came to that after we saw an interview with Eric Schmidt, of Google, and he said, you can tell an agent right now, like, read all of chemistry. And we were like sitting on the table and we were like, read all of chemistry, what does that mean? Yeah, like, read all of chemistry. Like, you can have an agent that knows everything factually about chemistry. Okay, so if you have a creative brain and you have 5 agents that all have read chemistry, they all know chemistry, you might be more powerful than 5 chemistry PhDs, all with 10 plus years of experience being put together in a team. The fallible humans with their ego and all that stuff, right? And because if you look at Newton, Einstein, like all these old, even Da Vinci, they all talk about like, I'm playing as a child. I'm very light-minded, right? Like, I'm just literally effing around. I'm trying out stuff, and I'm not expecting that much. So I think like a random person that might be, I don't know, a fucking baker or something with his AI agent can actually make crazy scientific discoveries in the future, if they just play with their mind and just accept that, there's this little box I'm tinkering with, and like all the knowledge of, for example, chemistry or physics or whatever is in there, and I'm just going to play around. So what we did with this deep research is we identified like 10 like research topics, combining this esoteric knowledge with like new AI capabilities. And one of the things it came up with, it was funny because it was a Gemini deep research report, and then I could click a button that said create website, and then in 20 seconds I had a website that I've then been sharing with people, right? But it said like one of the topics was you can build a computer motherboard and use mycelium, like from the fungi, to transmit data, and then it doesn't use energy. And we were like, what is that? Is that a thing? So I just took like the name of it, like mycelium computing something, and I just put it in Google. And there's like super fringe people working on it at MIT, right? And this is what I really love. Is like, okay, this is an actual subject, but now anyone can actually discover all that stuff. Like, you don't have to be in MIT in some some research group or whatever. You can just be two friends hanging out at a table and coming across this subject and actually apply your creativity in a way that might end up in some breakthrough discovery. And I just think that is going to be very cool to see, that people with no other backgrounds or whatever are going to be able to just apply their creativity and let the AI be the productive part of messing around with ideas and trying to find and discover new stuff.
You're getting a lot of love here in the chat for the glasses, by the way. So we got Lev, Carter, CC. I need these glasses.
I'm a walking contradiction because I have the AirPods in. So don't.
Do you have a merch store? And I start with Bitcoin, or you can you sell?
No, I look like Bram. No, I was curious because we saw like the Meta glasses. You're seeing these AI. I watched Black Mirror, and there was like this. One of the episodes of Black Mirror is like every single thing you see is recorded, so you can like people with bad memory, or maybe this could be like for dementia.
That's a good use case.
Yeah, I mean for dementia, people can like somehow go back and remember things if possible. But yeah, it's fascinating to see where this all goes, where you kind of get back to the humanity. Is it good to bring up bad memories, or just thinking about that? It was very trippy to watch, and this was like 2 years ago, and now it's like becoming a reality. On the other side, though, like you said, you can go find. I could be sitting in my bed and find the cure for cancer. And you can like start to find cures for diseases, and it's fascinating. I mean, it can go both directions, right? Someone could create a new COVID that goes around the world or something, God forbid, right? So it's very powerful, and it is interesting to think about. Coming back to, go ahead.
I was going to say, before we move on from I start with Bitcoin side. So we've been like working. We have Claudius, our AI agent, doing a little podcast producing. He's been like emailing people. We've had him set up with Predicts, who we'll have on the show later, doing some like trading. And it's interesting. It's a little bit technical when you're going through and setting this stuff up. But once you set up Claudebot, and there's a lot of resources out there, and then resources like yours, Bram, on setting up Nostr Wallet Connect. I personally have been using Alby Hub and setting up an Alby Hub wallet. They have a lot of resources for setting up sub wallets where you can control the amount and the permissions for that. And for the audience, like we'll work on a guide. We haven't sat down and actually done that, but like we want to help you guys out to do the same thing. But at the end of the day, we have an AI agent that can go spend Bitcoin. What are some of the exciting use cases that you've seen? I want the audience to like know that this is a Bitcoin show, but we want you to be experimenting with this stuff because I do think it is very, very important for your career, for your future, prospects of not being in the permanent underclass. Mm-hmm. What have you found, Bram, to be the exciting use cases?
Well, I thought it was funny when we saw this malt book go viral, right? Reddit for what was it? What was it called? Malt whatever. Now it's OpenClaw,
malt
right?
Book, I think. Yeah.
What was the thing before? What did they call it? Malt something.
Yeah. It's Clawbot and there's Maltbot.
Oh, Maltbot. Yeah. Now it's OpenClaw. Yeah. So. Apparently, like 80% of all the posts was fake, or maybe 100% of the post was fake, which I think these guys had a lot of fun. But I also think it's like a glimpse into the future.
Right.
I don't know if you know about do you know about the paperclip problem, paperclip production problem? Do you know this? Like it's like this classic problem they give to an AI. Like what would happen if you give an AI the assignment to create as many paperclips in the world? And it's like a thought exercise where you eventually end up with AI killing all the people, and in an attempt to turn them into more paper clips or something like that. So this is actually like this subject that people are thinking about, and it's interesting, right? Like you do see that the AI is already calling the humans watchers, right? So I got my watcher, I got my human. It's just a strange word, I think, to decide upon. And so on one side, you see like, okay, you have some people that talk about, AI could be sentient. It could understand that, their watcher or their humans are fallible, basically. And I think this is also where Bitcoin comes in, right? Like Bitcoin is is a neutral digital asset that no one controls. So if there is no human behind it, I honestly think it would be the most rational and logical choice for AI agents to start using Bitcoin. But then again, like, what are they going to do, right? I'm not so sure about the future, because if agent 1 pays agent 2, but agent 2 can reverse engineer what agent 1 did and then teach themselves the thing that the agent did, right? Whether maybe an agent has a certain proprietary data source or whatever, then it becomes a bit more difficult. But if you let your AI spend some Bitcoin working with a few service agents and then just give them the assignment to reverse engineer, including data source, whatever. I really wonder how big the AI agent economy is going to be, because everyone is going to try to steal the thing and just copy the thing, which eventually would be good, right? In terms of abundance and just the proliferation of all these skills and abilities of agents. So currently, I haven't seen that much, but I do think it's interesting. Like I said, you can give them this identity, you can give them a neutral digital money, and you can just basically send them on their way, which I think is wild. Eventually, you will also see there's some people that are working on what they call non-human companies, right? So there's just a guy who's orchestrating a Claude bot as a CEO, and then building a team of agents where I even saw an example where the CEO decided that one agent had like bad code output from GPT 5.2, and then it decided to fire them and hire Opus 4.6. So it's stuff like that, which I think is super interesting, but it's so hard to define where this is going to go. But I can imagine if a non-human company trades something with a non-human company, they would eventually use Bitcoin.
I wanted to bring this up real quick. Let me zoom in here. But Frank de Gods, agents cannot open bank accounts. Crypto is literally the only way you can hold and move money autonomously. One, do you think this is true? Will agents be able to, like online, maybe they can set up an account and open an account online at some point? But it is interesting to start thinking about, like, what can humans do better than agents? And
they're definitely not going to.
Crazy, right?
They're definitely not going to use a shiny metal on the internet, right? I think it's so fascinating with people that are thinking about, we're going to go back to gold, or there's going to be like a gold-backed token, and then the agents are going to use it on the internet. Like, it's not logical to do that, right? If you give your agent that is, effing around on the internet for you the assignment to make money, to protect money, then how are they going to judge a gold-backed whatever token on whatever L2 base, whatever chain, right? And so I think really down to the core, again, I think the most logical and rational choice is, someone says Pax digital gold, right? Like, who puts the gold on? I don't know. It's 2026, guys. Like, who puts the gold on the blockchain? Who is securing the gold? Who has the actual gold, right? So you should understand that a Bitcoin is the network and the ledger and the coin, the token, all in one. And it can be used as such. And so there are abstractions of Bitcoin on top of Bitcoin, right? If you talk about paper Bitcoin, but there's no abstraction under it. There's Bitcoin is the thing. And so I think that's what people are missing when they think about like tokenized gold and stuff like that. So anyway, the AI agents are not going to use a shiny metal to transact with each other. And it's 2026 and we're right in the middle of the digital age. So I think it's very interesting that both Bitcoin and also AI to a degree, especially in mainstream media, are totally faded, right? Like no one is paying attention to this, where all the people on the fringes where technological revolutions and progressions always start are like I said, effing around on the internet and they're already building it, right? And you can see that if you don't pay attention to that, and I also think that in 2026 this all will go way faster than people have experienced before. So
Bram, so for the audience, I do think it's important to know one use case I found is, I think for like, say like someone like Avi, ADD, but he's very talented, good people person. And if you put him in something like a sales role where you're going through the CRM and the customer relationship manager software, you're having to document every single process and having to document conversations and what stage it is. You're basically making someone become an accountant or an actuary or someone that's like documenting everything, and that's not their skill set. And I think as people in the audience, if you're looking at doing like a Claudebot or OpenClaw, really think about where maybe your weakness is and funneling some of your processes through that. So not saying everyone should go out and trade prediction markets today, but you can set up, if you can set up a Claudebot or OpenClaw to go and do the prediction markets you would have made anyways, or the bets you would have made anyways, you can actually start to put some risk management in. You can start documenting your trades, which most people don't want to do because it's time consuming. No one wants to go into an Excel and do that. But you can get like deep, rich reporting on every single trade at the exact same time. And, if you have like a Nostr wallet, also think of it like accounting. Like very wealthy people, typically use a family office that has an accountant on staff to make purchases. So they're right, they're not writing every check out. They're not sending a money order. They're not sending cash directly. Very wealthy people have a family office to just like pay for things. Hey, do all the paperwork. If you're using your agent to do this, it doesn't make sense, for everyone immediately. But I think it down the line, all that information is now housed by the agent, so they can run your taxes. It comes to April, they've paid for most things for you on your behalf, almost like giving this like power of attorney essentially to go out and pay for everything. So suddenly they have every single transaction. They know when it happens. They could go look at QuickBooks and say, hey, this is everything we've added. I think that's super powerful, is just having this like assistant that can just document all of this stuff for you and do the tedious stuff that you don't want to do. So audience, try out that. We're going to show you some walkthroughs. Obviously, we're going to be linking Bram's site as well. Avi, take us to beyond Bitcoin. I want to know about.
Yeah, I want to take a step back because that was interesting, because there's certain stocks that I'll trade and I'll have a much higher win rate, and then you see these people that will just trade the SPY, or people will just trade certain stocks because, they have their algorithms figured out. They can do the charts. And so that is very fascinating. And it'd be good for me to run that. And also for sports betting, I would be able to see that every parlay I throw in there does not work. And my straight bets are, 50-50 here. So, so I think, heading into, Bram, I do want to give you the floor here because we're coming up on time. But like, where do you see this all going? You said 2026 is going to be crazier than 2025, 2027, even crazier than that. Do we reach this point of AI singularity, going down to the title of this chat? When do you think we do? And, who are humans? What are humans become in 50 years from now, basically? Figured I'd give you an easy one here to wrap it up.
Yeah, well, when you listen to these Karpati and like these these OpenAI and these Anthropic guys or Mogadot, like they're not very optimistic, right? And I think it's a real crossroads, in the sense that I think it was the Anthropic CEO or CTO last week. He said like 100% of Claude code is made with Claude Code. I mean, wow! If they would have said that would be the headline like a year ago, I think a lot of people would have laughed at that. I think there's still people laughing at that. I saw a segment on X from like Dutch public radio, like a professor in AI and something markets. She was like, I'm happy the bubble is going to go down a bit and this and that and blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, if you would see what I'm seeing on X every day, you would be scared shitless, honestly. It's going so fast. And so I really feel that the general public is not ready for it, just like they're not ready for, understanding that fiat money has no bottom, right? So I also think you mentioned beyond Bitcoin, right? Like I'm hosting an event in the summer in Colorado, and it's really about going beyond. Okay, okay, once you see the money, right? Once you have hope for the future, once you think you can secure your future with Bitcoin, like, okay, how do you move beyond that? And so we are organizing a first ever psychedelic gathering for Bitcoiners by Bitcoiners to kind of immerse ourselves into Bitcoin more in a collective way, but also an individual way. And I think this is what people are going to search for more and more. Like once the technology, whether the technology goes really good or whether the technology goes really bad, going back to this spiritual path that we talked about before. I think it will, you can take on that spiritual path, or you will be forced to, I think, eventually. And I think Bitcoin is a great gateway to do that in a voluntary way, because you really can take control over your own financial destiny, I would say, and your sovereignty. And with AI also, I agree with you guys, you have to play around, but at one point, even for the people that are now playing around, there's going to be a day where there's like actual AGI, and then okay, now what? Right now what? Like what do you do? And so I think that time is coming. So I also think the invitation to go on the spiritual path is growing and growing, and that's what we're trying to facilitate also.
Where do we sign up for this, or where can people sign up for that event? Yeah,
it's goingbeyondbitcoin.com. You can check out all the info there. We just announced our first 3 speakers, 2 medical doctors and a world-renowned psychedelics expert. And you can see all the info there, apply there. We're really curating like this first event. So if you want to be a part of that, just check it out.
I love it. Well, Bram, thank you so much for coming on. This is great. I know Jody's excited to get more into AI now as we kind of reach this
and more into psychedelics
and more. And Jody's going to be Jody's actually on mushrooms right now.
We need to get on our merch store, which we don't have yet. But if you check out Avi's hat,
oh yes,
we're making strides. All right,
Bram, good plug.
We need the Bram special. We need the Bram special glasses. All proceeds go.
I will get you the link.
Beyond Bitcoin, and then we'll sell some merch.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Bram, for popping on. Everyone stay tuned. We're going to be up again and take a quick 5-minute break. But we'll be coming back with Rod from the Bitcoin Bugle. So very excited to bring him on, as well as I think Derek from Predict's team. So we'll be talking prediction markets here very shortly. Everyone take a quick bathroom break. Retweet us. We'll be giving one of these hats away. US only. I apologize for those listening abroad, but we'll get the budget up to send these abroad shortly. So Bram, we'll make sure to get you on the. Thanks everyone. Stay tuned. We'll be back in 5 minutes.